All right, so we have here all the parts and pieces that are going to come with your GoPro Hero 6, and this is how you're going to do a couple of different things or functionalities of having it broken down the way that it is. In the box, you may find a few more pieces, but right here, what you're going to find is a battery box, a battery. You will maybe need to invest in a plug-in charger, USB charger for GoPro Hero batteries if you don't have a Hero battery just like it in a Hero 5, 6, 7, or 8. They all, I believe, use the same battery. The reason why is you do need the battery if you ever want to update. So what we're first going to do is show you how to update. What you can do is you can grab the files. I'll have the files myself if you need them, or you can find them at GoPro's website. And basically what we're going to do is the first thing that you do is you flip it over. You take it out of the case if it's in the case, or the sleeve. We're going to flip it over and we're going to take a look at the back side here. So the back side is going to have these two plugs here, and these are going to be for the LCD back panel. Your LCD back panel is going to plug in and allow you to access some of the features and do some of the setup if you need to kind of change things, or like right now during our initial setup. Over here is the battery plug. Your battery plug plugs in with the red being towards the sensor, so it plugs in just like this. I'm going to take the battery out of the box because we don't want to accidentally bridge it with power. It just gets aligned, all the pins, and you just push straight down. After pushing straight down, that battery box is connected. We can go ahead and drop the battery in, and what you're going to notice is over here it's going to have a blinking red light. That means the battery's been booted up, or the GoPro's been booted up. The battery is now powering. It's a little bit of kind of active power. Before we do anything else and power it on, we're going to go ahead and take the back just like it would go on, and you're going to have these two connectors. They're going to line up perfectly. You want to be really careful with these connectors just because over time, if you rip on them or anything, they can damage. You just clip each one kind of in, being careful not to, beat up any of the chips on any of the other boards. So we've got those two wires clipped in. This plug here is going to be for your button strip. You shouldn't need the button strip, but if you do, I'll show you how to plug that in a minute. But now that everything is ready, we can go ahead and kind of carefully, don't close the case up, but just set the case on the back, kind of like this. So you can still access your two buttons. Your battery is not pulling on that cable. It's kind of rested on the table. And we're going to power on the GoPro with the power button. That power button may be one or the other depending on your GoPro and how I built it. So now you can see I have the back here and I'm able to access settings. This is where you're going to see your Wi-Fi connection. You're going to want to do a Wi-Fi connection by connecting new device if it is not needing set up already. And go through the process with the GoPro app. Once that's set up, you should be able to power the camera off and on with the power buttons, and it should save your Wi-Fi settings and it should boot back up. Now, the one caveat to that is some of our older cameras that we shipped, we did not do an antenna mod. If you need help on how to do an antenna mod because your Wi-Fi is not working right, let us know. I'll send you some documentation on that. That being said, now that we're set up, because mine's already set up, I can show you really quick to access on the phone what we're going to do here. I'm going to go into my phone and pull up the GoPro app. I've actually already connected, but we'll just show you that in your app, if you are connected and you are powered on and it's connecting, you can control your GoPro here. Make sure in your Wi-Fi that you've already logged into the GoPro's Wi-Fi, which you see I have right here, GP blah 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 blah, which again you can get the connection settings when you go through the back over here. It'll show you the password. but in the app will walk you through it. And then same thing over here. I've got the GoPro on my Bluetooth, and it's, you know, connected or about to connect. So now that I can go in and I can control the GoPro. So this is a better way of doing your settings once you get it set up. But always keep, I have to join. Always keep the LCD and not the battery, because you can do this via USB. But always keep all of that together. On the firmware update, if you wanted to do a firmware update, which your app will ask you every time, you do not want to do it here. If you have the battery, you can do the update here. If it's via USB and you hit update, it's not going to actually run the update. It's going to tell you that it needs to have battery power, and that's how you do it. We're going to do later. What you will do if you want to flash the firmware on here, which we've already flashed, you'll get the firmware, you'll put it on the SD card, and you'll put it in the SD slot and power the camera on. Wait for it to go through all of the processes and reboot, and then you're good. So that's how you're going to do the update with the battery. So the reason why we ship it with the battery, like I said, is we need the battery in order to do the updating. So we're going to power the camera off. I'm going to hold the button. I can power it off in the app as well. It just powered itself off. Now that it's powered off, I'm going to go ahead and first pull the battery out. Then I'm going to lift the battery plug right off. And then again over here, very gently, I'm going to lift straight up on these two and pull it free. So now I've done any updating if I needed to do that. I've done any settings. If for some reason these buttons malfunction or are not working properly, I can use this cable, this ribbon cable here. And what we're going to do is it's going to get plugged into, like I said, the plug up here. They're all a certain size. Only certain ribbon cables will fit in certain spots. We'll push it down and it's good to go. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you that powering the camera via USB is going to be your best bet for all of your kind of desktop, kind of messing around, doing different things. I have this plugged into a 5-volt battery charger. It is not plugged into a computer. You can plug it into a computer, but it's less likely to power 100% because computers typically do not push a full 5 volts at the right amperage. They push really low voltage and it's regulated because it monitors and shuts stuff down. When I plugged that in, you saw it flashed. We're going to go ahead and push the power button. I forget which one it is, sorry. I think it's this one? There it goes. Oh, I don't have an SD card in. It's looking for basically contact. It's looking to contact the SD card. It thinks it's plugged into a computer because I have it plugged into a smart charger. So that's why it's showing me this. But we can see that we can turn it on. I can hold this button again. It should turn off. All right. So now that we've done that, you can take a look at our next video. And when we get to that video, we will have how to actually do a little bit more with the camera. Okay, so next up, the lens here. So this lens cover can be replaced with a 3D printed mount that we also send out with the canopy. When you do get that mount, you can decide on which one you want to use. It's going to be completely up to you. This glass one, though, is the one we ship on it. It will accept ND filters and won't have any issues filming really wide super view. It will have plastic over the lens, so it's protected when we were testing and setting it up. To take this off, or if you want, you can put an ND filter on it. But to take this off, you're going to grab the camera by the metal, not by any of the components, especially not by the back module, by the side. And it takes a really firm hand. You're going to hold on to it and you're going to twist to the right. So I turned to the right and it pops right off. Now on the back, you'll notice it's got a bar on each side, and that's what's catching on these two edge pieces. So to put it back on, we put it at a 45 and we turn left. It clicks in place. make sure you get both those sides seated. Otherwise, you can look at it and it'll be kind of crooked. But there you go. That's how you keep the glass back on, or put the glass back on, and how you use your ND filter. Now, we can take that off, like I said, and we can use the Tpu Mount if you want a little lighter setup. If you're using wide framing, this Tpu Mount will actually slightly be shown in a 4.3 frame. Be very careful stretching this over here. It's a really tight fit. You might even want to warm it up with like a hair dryer or something. But once you get that on there, it's a little lighter setup. It will let some light in from the front as well sometimes. So a good tip would be to use a little bit of black tape and tape around the back edge of these, just so once you put your ND filter on there, it doesn't have that blowback of the lighting. So that's the way that we ship it, is with the glass, but you will also receive this TPU piece, and it just, like I said, clips right, or pushes right on, and then this clips right back in. Done deal. So that's your introduction to your GoPro Hero 6, which has been decased and is now naked. Be careful with it. All these little components on the back you really need to be careful of. And when you're putting it in and out of the case, where here, you really want to make sure that nothing's getting snagged. So when you're putting it in, get it in there. It should fit really free. Check these back panel here that's got a little bit of glue holding everything down, but you just want to make sure it slips right in. If it's something's holding back or something's caught, like right here, it's pushing out the back just a little, use your finger and kind of pull the TPU back around it, and it'll drop right in. So when it's in, it should be 100% seated down. It should be a little lip. You should see the USB lined up, and that's how everything mounts and sets up.